Am I the asshole for stealing my sister's baby, after she forgot him at IKEA? Let's rewind 3 weeks. 3 incredibly chaotic, heart-palpitating, wine-inducing weeks. At the time, I didn't know I was about to witness what can only be described as the parenting version of a nuclear disaster, complete with crying, mild property damage, government intervention, and a baby that somehow, miraculously, was more put together than his mother. Let me introduce you to my sister, Chelsea. Chelsea is 28. She is a new mom. She is also, and I say this with all the love in my heart, the human equivalent of a browser with 97 tabs open, and the music is playing, but you can't figure out where it's coming from. She has been that way since birth. Actually, no, I'm convinced she caused her own birth to be late because she probably misplaced her umbilical cord. I'm 26, the younger sister, the one our parents refer to as the reliable one, which is both flattering and also a lot of pressure, especially when your sibling is the kind of person who loses her keys in the fridge. When Chelsea announced she was pregnant, the family had one collective reaction: maybe this will calm her down. Like, maybe the weight of motherhood would settle her, ground her, somehow create a mental filing cabinet where before there was only a chaotic pile of Post-its and discarded coffee cups. Spoiler alert, it did not. If anything, her son, Oliver, has only highlighted the chaos. He's adorable, fat cheeks, big eyes, already judging people with the steely gaze of a therapist who knows you're lying. But it's clear, even in his infancy, that he knows his survival hinges on the people around him compensating for Chelsea's attention span. Which brings us to IKEA. Now listen, IKEA is not just a furniture store. It's a lifestyle. It's a maze of meatballs, emotional breakdowns, and existential dread camouflaged as modern Swedish minimalism. Anyone who's been in a relationship long enough knows IKEA is where good intentions go to die, usually in the lighting section. Chelsea texted me at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. Can you come with me to IKEA? I need help picking a crib. Simple enough. I had the day off. I like meatballs. I thought, why not? The worst that could happen is I get stuck behind someone blocking the tiny pencil station. We met in the parking lot. She was already frazzled, sunglasses on her head, diaper bag in the cart return, pushing Oliver in a stroller she forgot to buckle. She gave me a tight hug, then turned to Oliver and said in the voice parents use for dogs and babies and occasionally very stupid adults, "You ready to get a big boy bed, little man?" Oliver stared at her. No expression. No sound. Just pure judgment. We went inside. It started normal, which, if you know this story ends in child services, you'll know is just literary foreshadowing. Chelsea was talking non-stop about her Pinterest board, about how she wanted a Scandi farmhouse vibe, which I'm still convinced is just a way of saying I want everything to look expensive and beige. Oliver was quiet. Peaceful. Practically asleep. Everything was under control. Ish. We got to the nursery section. She oohed and awed at every crib like she was on a baby-themed episode of House Hunters. And then it happened. She found the crib, white wood, gently curved edges, some complicated Swedish name like Skernfakt or ASSPLA with diuresis TZ or something. She put Oliver down in it, just for a second, she said, so she could feel how sturdy it is. I watched her gently lower him in. Then she stood back, hands on hips, nodding approvingly. I made a mental note of how oddly comfortable Oliver looked, like he was about to drop a Spotify ambient noise playlist and just vibe. And then, well, we moved on. Not in a let's abandon a baby way. Just, casually. Naturally. We got distracted by a matching dresser. Then some mobiles. Then a brief detour for a framed print of a rabbit riding a unicycle because Chelsea thought it was whimsically ironic, a phrase that haunts me to this day. We ran. Full-on sprinted through the parking lot like contestants on Supermarket Sweep, dodging confused old couples and a man eating cinnamon buns too confidently. By the time we got to the nursery section, a crowd had gathered. IKEA security was standing around the crib. Oliver was still there. Still sleeping. Unbothered. Iconic. But next to security was a woman in a navy blazer and heels too sharp for retail space. She had a clipboard, a badge, and the specific vibe of someone who never lets her coffee get cold and is constantly disappointed in humanity. Chelsea was already sobbing. Sobbing like she'd just been told her house burned down and took her skincare products with it. The clipboard woman turned to us and said, "You must be the mother." There was no warmth in her voice, just judgment and ballpoint pen. Turns out, IKEA security found Oliver during a routine display sweep. When no parent came forward within 15 minutes, they followed protocol and called the police, who then routed it to Child Protective Services. Chelsea explained, through tears and hiccups, that she thought I had him. I corrected her, less kindly than I intended, by reminding her she had put him in the crib. She had walked away. I was 3 steps behind her the whole time. The clipboard lady, her name was Janine, I would later learn, took our information. She made a note that Oliver seemed unharmed, calm, and disproportionately serene given the circumstances. That was a real quote. We weren't arrested, but a home visit was scheduled. Which, to be honest, was almost worse. I drove them home. Chelsea cried the entire way. Oliver slept the entire way. And I sat there, wondering if this would be a good time to fake my own death and start a new life in Canada. We got to her apartment. I helped her inside. She dropped onto the couch and held Oliver so tightly I half worried she was going to fuse them together. "I'm a terrible mother," she said, eyes red and swollen. I told her she wasn't. I told her she was overwhelmed. I told her she just needed a system. She nodded, sniffled, promised she'd get better. I believed her. Plot twist, I should not have. Let's just say the IKEA incident didn't stay a one-time thing. If anything, it was just the prologue. I thought after almost accidentally gifting her child to the Swedish gods of minimalist decor, Chelsea would have a full spiritual awakening. You know, the kind of traumatic wake-up call that causes a mom to join a Facebook support group, get one of those mom planners the size of a weapon, and start referring to everything as intentional parenting. Instead, Chelsea decided to go with vibes. 10 days. That's how long it took for 3 more disasters to unfold. 3. Count them. 3. It was a Wednesday afternoon. Chelsea needed diapers and oat milk, because of course she does, she's that level of crunchy meets target. She texted me saying she was doing a quick run to the store and asked if I wanted to come. I was at work, so I declined. Big mistake. Huge. About an hour later, I got a text. From Chelsea? No. From Susan. Susan is our childhood neighbor. She's also the president of the HOA, owns 7 cats, and lives to be involved in things that do not concern her. She texts me. Saw Oliver alone in a cart outside Sprouts. Police were there. Is Chelsea okay? Let me paint this picture for you. Chelsea had placed Oliver, still strapped into his car seat, on top of a shopping cart, gone inside to pay for groceries, and just left. Drove home. Drove home. I called her. She answered, calm as a cucumber in a Pinterest mason jar. I asked her where Oliver was. Her exact words. "Oh, crap. I thought he was already in the car with me." You thought, you're literal human. Oliver was red-faced, sweaty, and absolutely losing it in his crib. I picked him up, tried to soothe him, and it took a full 10 minutes before Chelsea stirred. When she finally did, she blinked at me like I'd just materialized out of a dream. "Oh. Sorry. I didn't even hear him." "No kidding. Because you were listening to a guided meditation podcast." I confronted her then. Gently. I said, "Chelsea, he's just a baby. He can't tell you what he needs." She waved me off and mumbled something about sensory overload and how moms need to preserve their own mental health too. Which, yes, they absolutely do, but not by ignoring their screaming newborn while plugged into some guy named Kyle whispering about forest meadows. Still, I gave her grace. Again. I shouldn't have. This one? This was the last straw. The whole haystack of nope. It was a Friday night. I was scrolling TikTok, eating dry cereal, and ignoring texts from a man who looked like he chews with his mouth open. Chelsea texts me. Going out for a few drinks, smiley face. Can you babysit? I respond immediately. Can't tonight, I have a thing. Who's watching Oliver? She replies. No worries. My neighbor Jasmine offered. She's so nice. Just moved in, but she has a good vibe. A good vibe. Not references. Not background checks. Not a mutual friend who could vouch for her. A good vibe. This woman had lived next door for 2 days. She could have been a serial killer. A kleptomaniac. An MLM recruiter. Anything. And Chelsea just handed her the baby. Like a free sample at Costco. I called her immediately. She didn't answer. Texted. No response. I debated driving over but decided instead to pay a visit to Jasmine, aka, a girl who didn't even have furniture in her apartment yet. I knocked. Jasmine opened the door in a hoodie, holding Oliver like he was radioactive. She looked terrified. He's been crying since she left, she whispered. I don't think he likes me. I don't think I like you either, Jasmine, but that's not your fault. I scooped up Oliver, calmed him down, and waited. 3 hours later, Chelsea stumbled in, tipsy, mascara smudged, breath like a Red Bull mojito. I told her we needed to talk. This is where it all boiled over. I said, calmly, Chelsea, this isn't working. Oliver is not okay. You're not okay. You need help. She rolled her eyes so hard I thought she'd sprain a cornea. You're being so judgmental. I said, I'm being realistic. You just don't get it. You don't have kids. You don't know how hard it is. That one hurt. Because she's not wrong. I don't have kids. I don't know what it's like to do it alone. But I do know this. I don't leave my hypothetical kids in shopping carts. I don't nap through emergency sirens. And I don't hand them off to strangers with half-unpacked U-Hauls because they seem cool. I told her she had 2 options. 1, let me move in temporarily to help her get back on her feet. 2, I report her to CPS. She laughed. Said I was just jealous of the attention Oliver got. That I always had to be the responsible one and couldn't handle not being the star. Right. Because this whole time I was secretly dying to be the lead in a horror story starring a neglected infant and a playlist called Waves of Sleep. She stormed off. Slammed the bedroom door. I left. And the next morning? I called CPS. There it is. I did it. I made the call. I didn't do it lightly. I didn't do it out of spite. I did it because Chelsea, the girl who once lost her passport in a bag of kettle corn, was now in charge of a tiny, helpless human. And someone had to prioritize him. Even if it wasn't his mom. When Child Protective Services gave Chelsea 7 days, 1 whole week, to prove she could safely parent, I held my breath. Truly, I wanted her to rise to the occasion. Get some help. Find a routine. Maybe invest in a planner, or at the very least, a whiteboard and a functioning sense of urgency. Instead, she tripled down on chaos. Let me back up. When CPS officially opened their case, the social worker assigned to Chelsea was a woman named Marla, mid-40s, clinical calm, wore glasses on a chain and spoke like she'd seen it all, because she had. She showed up for the initial visit. She showed Marla a pack-and-play in the corner, said Oliver eats whenever he cries, and casually stepped over a laundry pile that could qualify as a geological formation. There were empty bottles on the counter, wine and formula, the diaper bag was missing half the essentials, and when Marla asked where the baby monitor was, Chelsea said, "Oh, I think it's under the couch. Or maybe in my tote bag?" Marla gave me one of those looks. You know, the one, halfway between sympathy and why do I feel like I'm the adult here? When Oliver started fussing during the visit, Chelsea handed him to me like I was the default setting. She didn't even hesitate. Just, here, he likes you more anyway. Not a great look. At the end of the visit, Marla calmly explained that while this wasn't a case of abuse, it was a case of neglect. Repeated, documented, escalating neglect. She gave Chelsea 1 week to make serious changes, to prove she could provide a safe, stable environment. 1 week. Chelsea said, of course, absolutely, 100%, with all the conviction of someone who says they're going to start doing yoga next Monday. Spoiler alert, Monday came. And nothing changed. In fact, things got worse. On day 3, she no-showed her required parenting class. On day 5, she missed a wellness check because she overslept after a wine and cheese night with friends. And on day 6, Marla popped by unannounced and found Chelsea not home, but Oliver was. With yet another neighbor, a 19-year-old college student who was watching him for a sec while Chelsea ran to Target. That was it. The final strike. Marla called me that night. You're his godmother, correct? Yes. I am. I took that title seriously when I agreed to it. I didn't know I'd be cashing it in like this, but yes, I said yes. We're initiating emergency temporary custody. Can you take him immediately? I said yes before she even finished the sentence. Suddenly, I'm mom adjacent. I picked up Oliver that same night. His stuff was packed into a trash bag. A trash bag, people. Like he was an unwanted sweater getting returned to Goodwill. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. He came home with me and immediately did what babies do. He slept, cried, pooped, and changed absolutely everything. My tiny apartment became baby central overnight. I turned my home office into a nursery. I googled things like how to baby-proof outlets and what's a normal amount of spit up before I call 911. I was terrified. And determined. And completely in love with this squishy, serious-faced baby who already had better instincts than his mother. I wanted to believe Chelsea would come around. I really did. But then came the TikTok. The TikTok heard round the internet. Chelsea went nuclear. Like, full meltdown meets megaphone meets main character syndrome. She posted a TikTok, framed in soft lighting, dramatic music, tears glistening just so, where she painted herself as a victim. Said her jealous sister had stolen her baby. That I'd manipulated CPS because I couldn't handle being the childless loser in the family. She called me a traitor sister. A baby thief. Said I had weaponized concern as a way to insert myself into her life and steal what wasn't mine. It went semi-viral. Not full viral, but just viral enough to make my life a flaming mess. The kind of TikTok where the comments section turns into a courtroom with 0 evidence and 1,000 self-appointed judges. Suddenly, I had strangers in my DMs. You monster. Give the baby back. You're just bitter you can't have kids of your own. This is what happens when jealous women get access to the system. One person even said I looked like the type who definitely calls the cops on kids selling lemonade. Cool. Chelsea doubled down. She posted follow-ups. She cried into ring lights. She reposted screenshots of my texts, out of context, of course, and framed it like I'd been plotting this since the IKEA incident. Which, LOL. If I was plotting this, I'd have at least bought a new bra and cleaned my apartment. Our mom is torn. She called me crying. Said she didn't know what to believe. That Chelsea is clearly unwell, but also clearly hurting. That maybe this didn't have to get this far. I told her, it got this far because nobody else stepped up. Half the family supports me. My aunt, my cousins, even our stepdad have called to say I did the right thing. That Oliver's safety matters more than Chelsea's ego. The other half? Let's just say there are now 2 family group chats. One includes me. The other doesn't. One uncle sent me a Bible verse about forgiveness. Oliver's with me. Legally, temporarily, but safe. Chelsea's under CPS review. She's allowed supervised visitation, but so far has only shown up once, for 15 minutes. She brought a stuffed animal, took a selfie, and left. I'm exhausted. I'm scared. I've cried more in the past week than I did during The Fault in Our Stars. But when I hold Oliver, when he falls asleep on my chest like he knows he's finally safe, it's worth it. I didn't want to be the villain in someone's narrative. I didn't want to steal a baby. I wanted Chelsea to step up. To be the mom I know she could be, if she just, for once, got out of her own way. But until then, I'll be here. The godmother turned guardian. The baby thief. The villain. Or maybe, just the adult who finally remembered what this was all supposed to be about in the first place. The baby. Let me preface this by saying, last weekend was an actual soap opera. A full-blown, scene-chewing, door-slamming, you'll hear from my lawyer meltdown that ended with cops on my porch, a screaming sister in my driveway, and my cat hiding under the couch like he'd just witnessed a crime. Let's rewind. It was a Saturday. A rare day off. I had plans. And by plans, I mean I was about to sit on the couch in sweatpants, binge bad reality TV, and eat peanut butter out of the jar like the proud, tired godmother mother-aunt legal guardian hybrid that I am. Oliver was having a good day. He'd taken a nap. Twice. He smiled when I sang The Itsy Bitsy Spider, and for a brief, glorious moment, it felt like I was getting the hang of this. Then came the knock. I checked the peephole. Chelsea. Hair frizzy. Eyes wild. Holding what I can only describe as a mom reclamation starter pack, a baby blanket, a bottle, and a very shaky sense of entitlement. She didn't wait for me to open the door. She yelled through it. I'm here for my son. Now, to be clear, I wasn't holding Oliver hostage. This isn't Gone Baby Gone. I had emergency court-ordered temporary custody. The kind with paperwork and signatures and all the heavy, soul-crushing legality one hopes to never experience at 26. I cracked the door open a few inches. Chelsea, you're not supposed to be here unannounced. You know that. She scoffed. He's my child. I don't need your permission. Yes. Yes, she does. Per the legal agreement. Per the CPS case. Per common sense. I calmly told her that if she wanted to see Oliver, she had to go through the proper channels. Supervised visitation. Scheduled. With a third-party mediator present. She did not like that answer. Chelsea tried to push past me. Full-on shoulder shove. I blocked her, gently but firmly. Meanwhile, Oliver, who had been peacefully gnawing on a giraffe-shaped teether, started to cry, sensing the emotional hurricane forming outside his safe bubble. Chelsea turned red. Screamed something about how I was poisoning him against her. Again, he's 7 months old, and that I was trying to erase her. And then she did what any mature adult does in a crisis. She called the cops. Right there, on my front lawn. 2 officers showed up. Both were immediately hit with Chelsea's deluge of emotional rage. She pointed at me like I was a Disney villain mid-monologue. Said I'd stolen her baby, brainwashed social services, and was now refusing to give him back out of jealousy. One of the officers turned to me and asked, "Ma'am, do you have any documentation regarding custody?" "Oh, do I?" I whipped out the folder containing the emergency custody papers. I had them in a drawer by the door specifically because I knew, deep in my bones, that this day was coming. I call that drawer the Chelsea Emergency Kit. They read it. They nodded. They told Chelsea, very gently, that she couldn't legally remove Oliver from my care. And that's when she lost it. I mean screaming, crying, "I'm going to sue you into the ground" energy. It was less concerned mom and more real housewife in the middle of a table flip. Eventually, one of the officers walked her to her car while the other apologized to me on her behalf. I stood in the doorway, holding Oliver, who had spit up on my shirt sometime during the drama and was now hiccuping like a tiny, unimpressed CEO. Later that night, Chelsea made her next move. She posted another TikTok. This one was even more unhinged than the last. She titled it, "When Your Sister Steals Your Baby and the Cops Let Her Broken Heart #Justice for Oliver." In the video, she sobbed under a filter that made her eyes sparkle like anime characters. She said, "I'd plotted this for years, that I couldn't stand not being the favorite, and that I'd turned her into a villain for caring too much." But the real kicker? She introduced her legal counsel. Derek now apparently believes he is the second coming of Atticus Finch, because in the video he said, and I quote, "We are building a case. This is unlawful custody rooted in sibling rivalry and jealousy. Unlawful custody. The one granted by a judge." The comments were a mix of support and chaos. "Stay strong mama, flexed biceps, broken heart. If my sister ever did this, I'd disown her fr. Wait, do you have court docs or not? This feels like you left your kid in IKEA and now you're mad he didn't come back." Chelsea tried to reply to every comment, correcting the narrative, pushing her side, threatening to expose the full story in a YouTube tell-all. I wish I was kidding. While all this is happening, Oliver is amazing. He's happy. He's safe. He's sleeping a little more. Eating like a champ. He started making this giggle snort when I blow raspberries on his tummy, and it's possibly the only thing keeping me sane. He hasn't been left in a car, or with a stranger, or in a shopping cart in front of a grocery store. And every day, I fall a little more in love with this weird, wiggly human who didn't ask for any of this. But I can't lie. I'm exhausted. I'm 26. I work full-time. I have a job that demands focus. I have bills. I have exactly 1.3 friends and no dating life to speak of. My kitchen sink currently looks like a crime scene, and I've worn the same hoodie for 3 days. I'm scared I'm going to mess this up. That I'm going to make a mistake and someone, Chelsea, Derek the dollar store lawyer, the algorithm, is going to use it as proof I'm unfit. Sometimes I cry in the shower. Sometimes I cry while holding Oliver. Sometimes I cry while reheating pasta and pretending it's a meal. But what else was I supposed to do? Let him stay with someone who forgets he exists? Let him be raised by a mom who treats childcare like an optional subscription? Let a TikTok comment section decide what kind of home he deserves? No. Absolutely not. I've lawyered up too. Real lawyer. Real degrees. Real concern for Oliver's well-being. The custody hearing is in a few weeks. Until then, I'm documenting everything, every missed visit, every online rant, every DM Chelsea sends me that begins with "you manipulative B***TCH" and ends with a rose emoji. Why? Why the rose? I don't know what the outcome will be. I just know this: Oliver deserves a chance. A real one. And if that means I have to be the villain in Chelsea's TikTok saga, so be it. Because I'd rather be a villain with a diaper bag than a bystander with regrets. And here we are. Court. Not the cute kind, where you dress up to fight a parking ticket and leave with a muffin. No, this was the custody of, "Why have you missed the court-ordered parenting classes?" She shrugged. Shrugged. I don't have time. I've been dealing with a lot. Ma'am. We all have. You're not special because you own a calendar. When asked why she'd missed supervised visits, she blamed me. Said I intentionally scheduled them at bad times. Said I created a hostile environment. I didn't even flinch. My lawyer didn't have to say a word. The CPS rep did. She calmly told the court that Chelsea had been given multiple scheduling options. That she'd ghosted 2 supervisors. That her phone was frequently disconnected, and when it wasn't, she'd been caught posting TikToks during visitation windows. That one stung. She turned red. Then the CPS rep said something I'll never forget. While this is not a case of abuse, it is a case of chronic, escalating neglect. The child, Oliver, has shown clear signs of improvement and stability in his temporary guardian's care. Our recommendation is that permanent guardianship be considered. And then, silence. You could hear the collective inhale. Even Chelsea looked stunned. We didn't get a final ruling that day. The judge set a follow-up date to allow Chelsea one final opportunity to attend classes and visitation. One last window. She hasn't taken it. As of this post, she's missed 2 more visits. She posted a TikTok during one of them, lip-syncing to a Lana Del Rey song with the caption, "Ripped away from my own blood broken heart #justice4me." She hasn't texted me once about Oliver. But she has posted. She calls me a narcissistic snake. She tells people I snatched her baby like a lifetime villain. One cousin, who I haven't spoken to since she got blackout drunk at my 22nd birthday, even made a Reddit post about me. Tagged me in it. Called me a power-hungry narcissist who wanted to play mom with someone else's child. Cool. My DMs are still a dumpster fire. My inbox is full of strangers calling me a sociopath, a child stealer, a controlling Karen. One person sent me an actual snake emoji every hour for a whole day. I laugh about it now, because I have to. But back then? I cried in the shower. Again. Oliver is thriving. He's growing. He's sleeping longer, praise be. He reaches for me when he's scared and smiles when I walk into the room. He knows my voice. He knows I'm his person. He has a bedtime routine now. A high chair. A pediatrician who doesn't sigh when asked questions. He has stability. He has peace. And I didn't mean to become that for him. I really didn't. I never wanted to be a mom. I wanted to be a sister. I wanted Chelsea to be the mom. I wanted to babysit, visit, support, cheer her on. Instead, here we are. And every day that passes, I feel more attached to him. More like, maybe this was always supposed to be me. Maybe the god and godmother was never symbolic. But I'm tired. I'm scared. And I know this story has no easy ending. Because no matter how many diapers I change or lullabies I learn, I can't change biology. I can't erase Chelsea. And maybe, deep down, I don't even want to. I want her to get better. I just don't know if she wants the same. So now I'm here. Writing to strangers on the internet. To ask the question I've been too afraid to say out loud. Am I the asshole for taking my sister's baby after she forgot him at IKEA? Was there a point I should have backed off? Let her figure it out. Waited for her to crash and burn without intervening? Or did I do the right thing, even if the right thing made me the villain?